Hey, what's going on, everybody out there? It's SEL0320 again. I know I ain't done a video in a while. I've been really busy, doing a lot of work and doing stuff on local campus. But hey, I found some interesting information. This is going to coincide actually with my closest theory that I had back about 3 months ago. So if I sound like I'm like monologuing, I'm reading some information that I actually wrote down based off notes that I took. Um, but basically, what I found was I went back and I went to episode Smallville, a couple other episodes. One of them was Homecoming, and the other one was Salvation. And I've been pitching in my head, okay, based on the series now, how is it gonna end? How are they gonna tie in how Clark is supposed to be who he's supposed to be? How is Lois not gonna know he's Superman at this point? Like they've been through hell and back. And I don't know. The last episode that came on, we all know that basically Clark and the JLA or whoever they want to call themselves now, Justice, I'm gonna call them. They went to Hawksman's funeral, and then all of a sudden this box came up, and they all passed out. Okay, so based on the new trailer, I don't know if anybody's seen. I don't want to spoil anybody, but at the same time, Lois is trying to find what happened to Clark. She can't find him. She got back mysteriously, and she's giving people hell on the phone. All of a sudden, Clark comes back into town, and he's got a bag on, and he tells her that he lost his powers. He doesn't know how. And then he starts having flashbacks, and it's showing that basically Chloe was involved in it, which is cool. I think that's pretty interesting, like kind of twist, but at the same time, it's like, what are they gonna go with it? And so then I started thinking deeper. I was like, man, I want to go to some old Smallville episodes. So I went back and I looked at Homecoming, and I looked, and something that I noticed was like so crazy. And I was thinking to myself, is it possible that Lois and Clark put on the facade of a century based on the Smallville mythology? Now we all know that. I mean, if you go back to the real mythology, there's no way Lois can know that Clark is Superman. But based on the Smallville mythology, you know how they changed and distorted. But I'm gonna start reading some of the notes I took on. I was rewatching Homecoming, and I saw that basically the first time that Clark went into the future, he was talking to Lois, right? And when he was talking to Lois, he was like, "I don't know what's going on." And Lois, first thing she said, and she was like, "Shit, what exactly did she say?" I wrote the actual quote down. Okay. There it is. All right. First thing they're talking about, Lois was like, "We need to make sure we keep things professional." And what I mean by that is, I was like, "What? Keep things professional? Like, what's the big deal if she already knows who he is?" And then we agreed that we keep our lives professional and that we recommend the glasses. Clark himself recommended the glasses. We know in the coming episodes there's gonna be some things that like start transforming him to his identity, but Lois is gonna be involved in it. So that makes sense. That coincides with the episode. And then after that, they both agreed. Lois talked about they both agreed on the dress code that Clark needs to dress fit for how he's supposed to be, portraying of Clark Kent, not necessarily looking anything like Superman's supposed to be. And then Lois says this, and I quote, "We can't have people thinking things." And I said to myself, okay, all right, I brushed it off the first time. Then I thought about it. I was like, okay, if she's got a wedding ring on, if she looks like she had a ring on to me, why would she say something like that? Like, why would she say, why keep people thinking things? And then I thought, okay, wow, that means that people can't know that they're in a relationship, or possibly that they might be married. So my whole thing was, I was like, what if Lois and Clark put on a facade to everybody and had possibly like a secret wedding? Like, it's possible. Like, I mean, Smallville. Like, I mean, I think I'd be more leaning towards how they would go about doing it like that. But I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see if they did it like that. Now, is that accurate at all? No, it's not. But it would make more sense as to how they're gonna play and pan things out. And also, it's like, okay, at a certain point, they had to think, okay, Lois is going to be in danger 24/7 if Clark is always looking like Clark, and people starting to catch on. Everybody knows Clark is Superman at this point. Everybody knows he's the Blur. Like, it's just a matter of time before they kill both of them. Now Clark don't have his powers. It makes sense that they would put on a facade. Okay, my thought was before that her memory would be wiped, and that would be the only way it'd be possible. Well, if this is true, and if my theory is correct, that how the producers are trying to do it is that Lois is going to be putting up a front all these years until the opportune moment for them to be able to express who they are to each other so that Clark can be who he wants to be. That would be the ultimate sacrifice. I mean, granted that if you think about the comic books and how it's portrayed, that Superman's always with Lois Lane, but Clark is never with Lois. And so they would have their relationship still, but at the same time, they wouldn't. So when they had the workforce, Clark would be like, hey, how you doing, Lois? And they'd be like, just, okay, whatever, let's do this thing. And it's time for him to go Superman, and he be who he wants to be to her, and he can express how he wants to be to her. And that's kind of how they portray it even in the comic books. But it'd be interesting to see. So then I was like, all right, I'm going to do a little bit more digging. So I went back to the last episode of season 9, which is Salvation, which we all love because the first part of it, but then I mean the end was cool too. But in the first part, and I put a little bit of notes on this one too. Basically, Lois was the first person to actually show up. She had glasses on. She was professional. She just came from Perry White's office. And what happened was she actually went downstairs, and I guess somebody had said that Clark wanted her to pick up something, or what did she want from the deli. And obviously, of course, he knows there's a disaster about to happen. So then Lois looks back, and she goes downstairs, and she looks for Clark. And Clark, you hear a zoom, and of course you know it's Clark going up and saving the airplane that's about to crash into the Daily Planet. She looks, and the glass is still spinning, his chair is still spinning, and it's like she implies basically she knows that Clark is Superman. Like, she didn't say it, she just ran upstairs. She's like, Olsen, get your camera ready. And I can't wait for Olsen to get back. I can't wait for the younger brother of Jimmy to get there so everything can fit perfectly. But it implies the way she looked at his glasses and the way she looked at Clark's desk that she knew, okay, he was going off on a mission. Now, she didn't say it directly, but it also looked like it was implied. And just based off these 2 episodes, it's seeming like that's how they're setting things up. And so then I looked at the timeline. Okay, the Salvation episode, based off the little hanger that was hanging behind the actual plane, it was saying, I guess, like a national fair or something like that was going on. But the date was in 2013. Okay, now that's 2 years from now, based off the Smallville universe. And then Homecoming, that was actually 4 years later. The actual date in that time with the newspaper was October the 13th, 2017. So even in that time span, it still seems like it was implied. I'm trying to think if I saw a ring on Lois's finger in Salvation or not. I can't be for sure. But either way, just my whole theory goes back to the fact that I feel like that it's a possibility that they are gonna create the front of a century based off the Smallville mythology, and I can see that happening. I can see them doing that. That, I mean, even in the spoilers that I've been reading from Kryptonite's site, I don't know if y'all reading or not, but you're implying that Lois is going to be helping Clark rediscover different ways of doing this dual identity thing. I think, can't believe it was Beacon and another episode that was the main central focus of the dual identity thing. I still really don't like personally that Lois is being this big center of why Clark is being Superman, but at the same time, just as long as they get things how it's supposed to look and appear, I can be comfortable with how the ending is going to be. And I also heard that they are trying to do a 2-hour like finale. So that means that anything that we lost ties, they can go ahead and finish it and be perfect with it. I'm sorry, y'all. My hair is a little jacked up. I need to shave. And it's been a while since I've had a video, but I really had to share this with y'all because I've been thinking about it for a while. Tell me your thoughts. but based off the facts that I see, it's a strong possibility that she could be putting on a front these whole years just for Clark, just for their relationship. How they would do a secret wedding, I really don't know. But I mean, at the same time, I think that the producers really want to actually get it so the Clovis fans that are shippers and the actual Smallville fans get what they want all at the same time. So to have what they want at the same time, they can have a secret wedding, and then they could also have like Clark like saying in front of public like, "Well, I got to go," or "I need to do what I want to do," and they looking at each other. It's like, "Okay, Clark, go do what you have to do. We can never be together." And in secret, "I'll see you tonight, honey." Like I don't know, but I mean at the same time, it'll be interesting. Like that's a great sacrifice. Um, but at the same time, it could go back to the whole theory that I thought before, a mind wipe. Or it could be. I mean, I don't necessarily even know. Like, I mean, I could be totally wrong. But that's the whole thing. I love being about a Smallville fan. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what the case is. I really hope they stop going so heavily on the whole Clovis thing, but looks like it's not going anywhere. So at least we can hope that Clark eventually gets these, puts on that personal persona, and then eventually learns how to go dual identity and becomes who we want him to be. If y'all have any more comments or thoughts, please let me know. Sorry it took a long time with the pause and trying to find my notes, but just keep me informed. And I want to hear y'all's comments, everybody's. All right, y'all take care. Peace.